Hello, hello, here we are again. Today we are going to talk about imaginary and complex numbers. So let's start off by talking about the definition of an imaginary number. And an imaginary number is labeled I. So we're going to define I as being equal to the square root of -1. Now, if we square both sides, we can also use the definition I squared is equal to -1. All imaginary numbers can be categorized as all the numbers that solve a very specific type of equation. So equations that we've never been able to solve before, like x squared equals a negative number, now we actually have a solution, and that is using imaginary numbers. So if we have x squared plus 1 is equal to 0, subtract 1 on both sides, and you end up with x squared is equal to -1. Now, previously, we weren't able to solve problems like this because we would say, oh no, we can't take the square root of a negative number. When you take the square root of both sides, you end up taking the square root of -1, which is equal to I, our definition. Remember that when you take the square root of both sides, you have to take the absolute value, which in this case would give us x is equal to I, or x is equal to -I. Let's go over the definition of real numbers. So all the numbers that you've ever used, those are real numbers. That includes integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. So let's just remind ourselves, some examples of integers can be -1, -3, 4, 10, any whole number that's positive or negative. Rational numbers are any fractions, positive or negative. And irrational numbers are numbers that can't be written as fractions. So like radical 3, radical 2, pi, -pi, any of those. Now, when you combine real numbers and imaginary numbers, you get what's called a complex number in the form a plus bi. So the real part would be the a, and the imaginary part would be the bi. And that's what we call a complex number. An example of that would be 2 plus 3i. So, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.